Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. What's going on, y'all? Happy Thursday. It's April 2nd, 2026. I'm here with a quick little 1-2 for you. 1:40 on the clock. We're using Intuitive Kev's Kipperish deck today, and I hope you're doing well. What more can I say? Let's let the cards do the talking. All right. Distant future. Okay, never saw that card before. Distant future. What's in the distant future? Maybe something to look forward to. False narratives, and look how that turned out. False narratives being overturned, or I'm getting like the source of false narratives being exposed and vindication. But we'll see how this goes, and I'm gonna leave that just like that. Now, I hate that it's distant future. We need to expedite that outcome real fast. Elimination. Oh, shoot. All right. Well, maybe it is so, even as I speak. We don't want no more delays on vindication and retribution and karmic justice than what already has been. Thank you kindly, Source Supreme of all. False narratives have been running amok about who you are, perhaps about what you do. People have just been, creating their own storylines around your existence that you may have no idea about, or could even be using mystical matters such as divination, getting tarot card readings, or scrying, astral projecting, whatever people do in their spiritual free time. They've been using that to surmise a storyline, and they may not even have the right perspective, is what I'm seeing. Like what they think that they're seeing, or what they are extracting from their limited perspective is actually not the whole truth. And so maybe that's why. Oh, okay. So, but why the distant future though? Oh, maybe that's okay. Now it makes sense. So some folks that think they have a particular set of skills for divination or scrying, or some type of mystical skill, think that they're being able to see into the future, like fortune telling or prophesying. But as false narrative came out, what they're seeing is distorted, and so therefore the message is distorted. Their transmissions are distorted. They may have gifts, but maybe because of how they're using them, because I'm emphasizing it being used for like being abused almost. With the false narrative energy, there's something shady about that. So even those that have extremely potent gifts in this season will be disabled, or at least inhibited from being able to fully access those gifts or use them, because of the misalignment, pretty much. So what they think they're seeing, it could even be the fact that they think they're seeing something in the distant future when really it already happened, or something that's far away, and they think they have time to somehow like maybe corrupt what they see, or intercept, or delay, whatever. But it's something that's actually happened much sooner. Like whatever they're thinking they're seeing is like the opposite, or something like just really off. They may be seeing some aspect of a revelation or the truth, but the timing that they're observing is what's off, which can ultimately throw the whole message off. Surprise! Let's see, how much is this? Oh, okay, it's 2. Oh, a surprise. Oh, so some energies trying to see into the future, like what's coming in for love. You know, knowing that there's a lot of like sacred union talk circulating in the spiritual community. The transits are pretty ripe, or ripening, I would say, for love connections of the pure brand, you know, of the sacred kind. And yeah, this could be, you know, energies on the sidelines trying to get the drop on that so they can intercept it, or disconnect that connection before it even if it even occurs. But like I said, they don't know the timing. That's the missing piece that's being withheld with good intention. Because if they did know the timing, they would be sure to disrupt it, or they would try their best. You know, they would absolutely try their best. All right, so yeah, there's some type of surprise love connection here, or maybe somebody coming in to express their affinity that is a surprise, maybe a secret admirer, somebody that could be watching you if you have a platform, or could have seen you, you know, in passing in some way, like in some distant way. There's an observance here, and the surprise aspect is on account of that. Like it may not be someone that you've come in contact with much up until the point when they make themselves known, or make their intentions or their affinity known. But it's given that it's going to be well received, I suppose, you know, seemingly. Let's see. Well, and that could be the motivation of those on the sidelines that see that something is happening, but they don't absolutely have access to interfere as they would like to. Hello. There's too many. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna go back. Love offer. Hello. Oh shoot. I'm losing all the cards. Occupation. Moving on. Yeah. Sweetheart. Yeah, look at this. Love. Oh my goodness. And look who was hiding behind the hello. The Ice Queen. Yeah, there's somebody like hiding in the spiritual bushes trying to see who's knocking on your door, or who's spending the night, or who's you know playing on your phones, trying to see if they can hear what's going on in the background, like silly shit like that. I don't know why. But we got the sweetheart, we got hello. Yeah, something's coming, something's happening. Let's see what else we got. Third party sitch. Look at them. I'll put them sideways too. Because ain't nobody halfway coming out getting no life today that ain't supposed to be getting none. Yeah, exactly what I said though, which is kind of weird. Maybe somebody's thinking, that's why I said like their intel is just all off, because somebody's thinking, look how mad she is back there. Somebody's thinking either somebody's on their way to you, or they already over there, and clearly they're misguided or misinformed in some way, shape, or form. Like what they oh, so it could be someone scrying into what they think is happening, um, maybe with an object of their affection or with someone that they have a thing for or had a past with, or they just don't want you to have a future with, whatever the case may be. But like I said, what they're thinking is happening is off. So it could be the person that they think they're getting in the way of or trying to block. It could be just an overall situation of some type of, pure love and commitment, just trying to block that opportunity altogether for someone. Or again, their timing is off. They could even, that's weird. They could be seeing something that looks like it's about to happen, that is a reflection. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, it's two ways I'm hearing this. Either it's like it's really giving paranoia though, or some type of like psychosis or something. Maybe be on account of divination spying, like abusing their gifts is kind of messing with their mind. But it's telling me that somebody seeing some type of outcome that actually is either what already was either in a past season or a past life, and they're thinking that, oh shit, that's about to happen, so let me get on it. Or they're seeing, because remember I said they thinking it's somebody else but it ain't even them or something like that. They're seeing what would have been the outcome if they hadn't gotten up in the mix in the first place and there wasn't interference that was allowed to happen. So I'm gonna make it real plain. It's like somebody that got in the mix of a partnership that either was destined and fated to have a future, maybe in the distant future, or maybe as far as through the distant future. They successfully found their way to interfere into that connection, to place themselves in the middle. But it was all fateful anyway for the most part, because everybody has a choice. So if they were allowed to take up space, then that was the fate of that circumstance. What could be seen is them seeing what would have been the outcome if they wouldn't have gotten in the middle, and these two people would have been allowed to kind of like, gradually grow into whatever they were destined to be naturally. And they're thinking that that's still on the table, or their scope, their lens is so distorted that they are looking at ultimately they're looking at what they disrupted, and maybe even a cause for whatever backfire or karmic, like I said, karmic retribution come quickly, is underway, because they disturbed something that maybe had a destiny attached to it, and they had no business interfering. So what they're seeing is ultimately the reason, like almost um like a projection of what would have been, had they not interfered. And also, oh, it's like multiple layers of this. It's infuriating to them because it's not what they're currently experiencing. Like what they thought they were switching themselves out for is actually not. It's like somebody getting in the way of a sacred union, right? And they squeeze themselves in the midst, as a karmic partner. They thought they were just going to take up space in that same fate, but they're not getting that. They're not getting that outcome. That's not the reality, because this, that reality is attached to someone else, that attached to the person that they're with someone else, or in some other form, because it could not necessarily be taking the place of someone else exactly. It could be just like I'm getting that flip-flop energy of like absorbing someone else's fate, like, oh, I don't want them to be happy in a long-term healthy commitment. I want that for me. So they think they're taking something from you and absorbing it into their own reality and trying to figure out why it don't look like what it was looking like for you. Well, because it wasn't assigned to you. That's why. This person wasn't assigned to you naturally. You apprehended that fate, and so therefore it becomes it becomes limited by what is naturally due to you on given the circumstances. It's not going to be a direct reflection of what it was supposed to be for someone else. Duh. So it's like, that's infuriating to see that there was a fate that would have been ideal and picturesque in some type of way, but it's not what they're experiencing. And it also is like giving double backfire, because they're still in their psychosis or distortion, thinking that they're needing to be enacted to prevent that from occurring, when the fact of the matter is that ship has sailed in some way, shape, or form for all parties involved. And as we saw moving on, plop out in the deck, somebody's on to something else, moving completely on with their lives, while here it is, this energy is like fixated, maybe even a bit possessed and obsessed by what they see, what they think they see, not knowing that they're not even seeing correctly. My goodness. Silly. Phone lighting up at 156, which is 111, which is a 3. It's like, this is beyond complete ritual. Exactly. So here they are, piling up on the karmic debt they already have, because it's like their mind is playing tricks on their spirit to believe that they still got to put up a fight again for something that is not even, it's an illusion. This is an illusion. It's like they're shadow boxing at this point. They're seeing a reflection that is literally a mirage through all this smoke and fire that they're emitting. And it's literally like they're fighting their own shadow, because it enacts them to then react and respond with more rituals, maybe more magic, more negative intentions or projections. But even that is still, it's adding to the psychosis, and it's backfiring and just compounding on top of the debt that they've already incurred for what they're seeing they had a hand in disrupting in the first place. You already was going to get karma for that. You know what I'm saying? So you was already going to get karma for that. But now the way that you're trying to, like, I don't know, like, what's the right word? Like, do not, I won't even say do damage control, because they're trying to do more damage. But all it's doing is just like stacking the deck higher and higher. Man, bruh, somebody need to put the magic down. They need to put the cards down, the crystal ball, the candles, the jars, the incantations, the spells, the evil eye. They need to just shut it all down, because everything that they're projecting at this time is self-inflicted. It's the reason why they can't see clear in the first place. Somebody could have really extraordinary gifts. Divination is in the upright. Ritual is in the upright. But their abilities are, have been compromised by corruption. And now, they can't, there's no accuracy in what they expel, except for it to stay right where it came from, where it's coming from. This could, I mean, we did just have, oh, yeah, all right. We're in the midst of a full moon in Libra that's ripe with karmic justice. So this makes total sense. It's very, um, it's like very on trend and on time for what could have been underway leading up to this moon, and what is still being relentlessly ritualized on account of trying to resist karmic balance, justice ultimately. That's why I was saying, oh no, like, we don't need no distant future on that. Come quickly. Look at this. Karmic masculine is in a commitment. So either way, it's like y'all go together, y'all stuck together. You know, it's like if this is the feminine energy and the third party that, you know, squeezed her way into Cinderella's shoe to get the so-called prince, you got it, baby. And whether he was on track to be karmic or just became so by association, it is what it is, you know? And or if this was, you know, someone that just was like rushing to the altar, you know, like I said, like they're looking to the left and the right, or at one particular person that incites them to want to be first, like, you know, like I want to be the first to be married, or the first to be able to say I got a ring, or we still together, or my, you know what I mean, like those type of energies. You do all that and you get it. You get everything that you asked for, essentially. Maybe even, I'll say, prayed on as opposed to prayed for. You got it, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's just not, on either side. You could flip-flop that for the masculine too, thinking that they were, you know, marrying the trophy wife, or somebody that had a greater potential or better aesthetic or whatever, and now you just is like your vibration is depleted and diminished on account of what you are now attached to, binded to even. So it's literally a karmic connection out here, as opposed to the very opposite of what we were first encountering, which was something more sacred and pure, enamored. That's like being adored by someone, by your partner, or just in general, maybe even just being in love with yourself. You know, like I said, somebody could have been looking at you, if you relate in your single status, like, they ain't got no man, or they ain't got no husband, or they, you know, they baby daddy ain't shit, and whatever. and looking at you like, you know, like you were the inspiration for their self-esteem, you know, like all the things that you're not able to do or they can one up you on ultimately fuels their fire, maybe literally, you know. But it now, especially now, is when the evidence of what everyone has been manifesting is so clear that you can't bypass it even if you try. Like, you have to come to terms with what you ultimately have created for yourself or have invested in. And for many, I'm just trying to fix this one here. And for many, it's quite disappointing and dissatisfying. Like, all this for this, I could have had a V8. Or wishing, you know, in some cases looking at you, and here it is, this is where they get incited to ramp up the energy again, looking at you in all the ways that they thought they could laugh at you or look down on you, and actually wishing that they were in your shoes. Somebody could be looking at you single, wishing that they had never made it to that altar, or wishing they hadn't binded themselves to a particular person or thing or even a place at this point, because it's more of a burden than a blessing. And so there it is, that another, instead of just being settled with what you have or accepting or whatever the case, or not, because there's time to make change even in those unsavory circumstances, they rather look, seek to rather turn that vengeance and rage onto someone or something else that has nothing to do with it in the grand scheme of things. False narrative, again, maybe even the things that they're telling themselves are fair and justified, and but again, this is someone that's not really in their right mind. I don't care. Like, it's giving psychotic, or just, I don't know, just some type of obsession here that can easily make you a prime vessel for possession, especially when you bring mysticism into it. If you are not operating on the up and up, them spirits that you are interacting with will definitely have a field day on your mind, your body, and your spirit, and your soul. A freaking smorgasbord. Have you, thinking all types of things that are just wrong because your intentions are so low frequency that it can be easily attached to for lower vibrational energies and entities. Even in the physical sense, those that embody certain lower frequencies, if somebody was only looking through their carnal lens, which is not all bad, but it's like if someone exclusively was looking through their carnal lens about what a commitment should entail. They gotta look good, they gotta have money, they have to, dot. Then you leave yourself open to being deceived by something that may look the part on the outside, may even talk the talk, and for a little while may even walk the walk, but just long enough for you to be entangled to the point of what feels like no return. That's as long as they can keep it up. It's like soon as you get married, that mask comes off on either side, whether it's masculine or feminine. Like who you thought you married, not even close. And now they got you in their clutches, so they don't even have to pretend anymore. They'll just keep doing work on you, or driving you out of your mind to the point where you won't know if you're coming or going. So you damn sure won't know how to leave. All right, let's get a few more. I'm here for it today. This is kind of funny. Phone's going off at 2:08. That's a 10. Child. That could be part of the entanglement. Could be a child involved. Or again, just something binding, a business, property, assets, contracts. That could be what child represents too in this case. But it could be an actual child. And in that case, it's like you can marry, you can divorce me, you can leave me, you could do whatever you want, but those be the ones that you could never get rid of. Where y'all be in court for all 18 years trying to come to some settlement on parental rights or custody or child support, like just somebody that's always going to be a thorn in your side, even to the point where you had, especially in the younger years, you got to keep seeing them to drop off the kid or pick up the kid, or seeing them at celebration functions like graduation and school plays, and like, yes, like, oh God. And it's just triggering all over again. Like, don't nobody want to be in no shit like that. That's crazy. No, thank you. Endings. Yeah, like to no end, so it seems, but like this is the life that somebody ultimately cooked up for themselves. And endings could just be in a like perpetual state of loss or misfortune. And maybe not, but look, even here with I hope you can see this, but this sign says road closed, and there's a big like crevasse or ditch here that if you drive over that, you falling into it. So it's like you can't even end a situation like this without crashing out first. That's what it's given. That's what somebody has cooked up. Meaning you might be able to get a divorce, but it'll be a nasty one. They'll fight you tooth and nail for everything that you have, whether they are entitled to it or not. You might be able to come to some agreement over your child, but it'll be a tireless battle. And even after that, like I said, still having to have encounters and to see someone, or you might be able to dissolve that business, but not without struggle, or without someone feeling like they're more entitled to some assets than you. You might be able to sell that property, but again, not without a challenge. So it's like there's still, like I said, there is a possibility to bring something to an end, to a close, but it's probably going to hit rock bottom or be a hard stop before it can fully be concluded, or there's full closure, if ever, for things like this, especially up under divination, because like I said, this is with somebody unjustifiably, maybe even unlawfully, at least spiritually, if not actually, acquired for themselves. So you at least have to, this could be what we're talking about here, that karmic retribution that has to be paid before you can be absolved and released. Like, no, you're going to pay this debt and then you can move on with your life. You're going to get what's owed to you on account of your interferences and disruptions. And then if you so choose, you can move forward. But you're going to do this first, regardless. This ain't going to be no easy out. And there may be some tears, for real. Usually I don't like seeing that child, taking that child as, a sad energy. I usually transmute it to being happy tears, because he does have a little bit of a smirk on his face. But in this case, it's like whatever has been birthed or materialized from this dysfunction and corruption, whatever it is, it's a tearjerker. Like, yeah. It could even be expectation. It could even be like how the Bible says the sins of the father fall on the child, on the children. It could even be, the energy of this chaos having a direct effect on the offspring, naturally, as it would, whether they're in union or in separation. It's like, imagine growing up in virtually a loveless household. That is ultimately going to take a toll on your character and shape how you then act out of love or lack thereof moving forward. So that's how the cycle just continues to respawn over and over again until someone in the bloodline is strong enough to resist it and change the trajectory. With expectation, look at him looking at his watch. That could be, like I said, forever. That could take forever. Some way distant future before this sin, so to speak, is undone Mm, mm, mm. And that's if you're, and that's if that's on the bright side, honestly, because if people have been out here abusing their spiritual gifts and powers, especially to cause harm to others, whether it's in the practical sense, because word magic, lies, false narratives can be offensive in a deep way to the spirit, and then all the way up to the worst, baneful magic, if you will. um you that, like I said, worst best case scenario is for someone to actually come to their senses and put in the effort and the work to undo what was done, if they have the strength and capability to do so, the will to do so. Then and only then may you have a chance to actually save your offspring. Maybe. But for those that, like I said, are just insistent on digging themselves into a deeper hole, they might not even experience the direct effects as harshly as their offsprings will. The kids that don't, again, have nothing to do with this foolishness, didn't even ask to be here. Rich girl. And usually I like to see the rich girl, but in this case, it's like she looked a little bit irritated. Oh no. Again, it could just be fixated on all the wrong things, all the material spoils of life experience that somebody's still waiting to have the effect that they thought it was going to have. Now, you may have gotten all the money, you've gotten all the wealth, you got the notoriety, you got the partner, you got the kid, you got the house, you got the car, you got the status, you got the affluence, and you're still irritated with life. That can be retribution in itself, to just never find pure peace and true happiness, but literally having all the things that you thought would bring it to you. Mm-mm-mm. And I just allowed the love aspect to just kind of be swept away, because guess what? That's happening for those that are in the market for it, regardless of the resistance. Regardless, if you are in alignment for true love, and, well, let's say pure love and true happiness, it's already yours. It's already in your possession because you embody it. So anything that wanted to resist that fate, again, has ultimately just created that resistance in some form or fashion in their own lives. And until they repent and change their ways, they're never going to be happy. They can stay in a marriage till death do them part, and they'll never find happiness. Hello. Hello, somebody. You can go through therapy for the rest of your days and still hate who you wake up to and who you go to bed with. But this is what they ask for. Maybe even hate who you see in the mirror. Hate who you've become on account of your obsessions and possessions, literally, even in the material sense. What it takes to maintain all that you've acquired might be so excruciating, to maintain this facade of a happy life and a wealthy experience and a nuclear family and a conventional living. It might take so much out of you just to maintain that facade that it erodes your insides on. It's just not worth it. All right, let me get 2 more and I'm out. flying monkey. This is what they've become. Scrying on what other people got going on, in spirit and in truth. So fixated with how they compare to others that they, they can't even functionally live their own lives. That's what that's given. This really is giving way to the obsession aspect. Because whether or not somebody is, because a flying monkey, that's somebody, again, that's somebody that's just obsessed with what's going on in other people's worlds, like a spy or a scry. And however that gets to be done, it could be online. It could be, again, through divination. It could be through word of mouth, like trying to get the drop through somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. Stalking, really heavy on that. Hello. Whatever it is not positive or productive. Ain't nothing positive about the flying monkeys. They are, in the story of The Wizard of Oz, they were virtually under the spell and possession of the Wicked Witch. Damn. Right up under commitment and then the karmic masculine. Oh yeah, somebody found themselves in a real fucked up situation. Romantically, platonically, professionally, creatively, they are almost enslaved by some other energy that they've entangled themselves with. Emotionally, maybe psychologically, if nothing else. But it also could be, again, through the attachments, that the material attachments that they have been they binded themselves to. Like when you get married, everything becomes we and ours. No, your debt is my debt, your wealth is my wealth. So even with someone may want to release themselves, and with this ritual shit and flying monkey, yeah, somebody is in a commitment that is being supernaturally, I'll say this because there ain't no super in it, unnaturally contained, or they're being like captivated, unnaturally captivating, like they're being captivated in a commitment that is not natural in some way, shape, or form. Like there's some work being done, there's some manipulation happening, maybe some narcissistic activity, which can be damn near like black magic when you're tied up with a narcissist and you have, binding connections to them that don't allow you to just get up and leave, or they keep coming back, or, one more, and I'm out. It's like everybody's getting what they asked for. That's the thing. You're getting what you asked for. Damn. Emotional pain. Emotional damage. Sorry. Oof. I don't think I need to say much more on that. It's like hitting somebody where it really hurts, because I'm getting that maybe what they were in the market for may not have been founded on love, may not have been for the purposes of some type of like sacred union. It might have just been circumstantial or beneficial or profitable to be connected to someone, where they could have thought, like it's just an arrangement, it's a business deal, or it's just a means to an end, or a way to advance or come up, whomever, masculine and feminine energy on either side. And now it's like they've gotten way more and also way less at the same time than they bargained for. And what was just kind of like we saw Ice Queen earlier, just kind of a sterile connection. I think that's the right word I want to use, like sterile, stoic maybe connection, has now turned into like real pain, something that somebody can actually feel in their being. They weren't so attached to the outcome before, besides the material gain or whatever, carnal reward, maybe even primal, literally primal reward they were getting out of it. Could even have been sex, just a physical thing. And now it's like, damn, I wish I ain't do that. Damn, I wish I never mess with that person. Damn, I wish I didn't marry them. Damn, I wish I didn't get into business with them. Damn, I wish I didn't not use protection. Like so many regrets are wrapped up in this emotional pain, because it really just came down to, someone's poor choices. And maybe they didn't have the visibility to see the choices that they were making in the distant future and how they would be effective in the long run. But, that's kind of the responsibility of the vessel to have that level of projection and perception. And if you don't have it, then you better call it in, which would be you calling in your higher self, your supreme, your source, to guide your path and help guide your steps in the places that are hard to see, in the ways that are hard to see. No, somebody took what was in front of their face and they ran with it. Whatever looked good at the time, whatever seemed like a probable win, they took someone, something, someplace at face value. And now that the mask is off and there is revelation in the realm for all, overall, it's a real, like I said, what I say, it was a tearjerker. Yeah, like, look, going from the child to a grown man crying. So, sticky. All right, let's see what's on the bottom. Oh, mature. Damn. Oh, somebody locked in for this for the long haul. For the long haul. You hear me? And it could be on account of the fact that inner child was left unhealed, and that was the energy that someone was making their choices out of. When you have that unhealed inner child, woundings from from your upbringing or from experiences at a younger age that you never allowed yourself to confront, to accept, to understand, whatever, that carries with you throughout the rest of your life. And it shapes the way that you create your life experience. And it's given that somebody, you'll be old and gray on the track that they're on now. There's always an opportunity to shift, but on the track that they're on, they will be a mature man, more mature than they already are, before they see any light at the end of the tunnel or they see any relief from the situation that they've put themselves in, or reform from the entanglement that was manifested from it. And that could look like so many different things. It might not even mean that this person will still be attached or binded physically to whatever the situation is, but it could just mean that the residue will linger for like I said, like it'll linger for so much longer. Like there's so much cleanup, and here it is, damage control on the other end to do, that it wouldn't be a quick fix. But the longer someone delays the inevitable could be the longer that these effects run into their future. So it still would make sense for someone to not delay another minute, another day, to release themselves from some bondage or some unfavorable situation before it completely consumes them. And like I said, they just continue to compound the karma, making it even harder, like mess around and have another baby, or have to suddenly move to another property and now y'all bound to that together. Or I don't know, like so many things could bind you in a bad situation. Or there be some type of legal ramification. Say it's a business partner and one is doing something underhanded that you didn't even know anything about, perhaps. And now y'all both in a bind because you're both attached to this business. That could be something that could follow you even on your credit for years to come. You know, it's like one faulty move has really done it for someone. One faulty move, boss. This really could be something professional. It could absolutely be that, but it also is given like it'll take somebody a long time to finally regain control in their life at this rate, on this track. To finally be able to say like they are not under the thumb or possession or supervision of anyone or anything in particular. Like they have regained creative control. Let me stop before I mess it up real bad. As a silver fox here. And again, this could be masculine or feminine, but it just came out as a mature man. So take it as it resonates. But yeah, somebody did their big one and now life is doing its big one on them until they decide to reach back to the source of their dysfunction, figure that all out if they have the will and the strength to do so, release themselves from all the toxins that they have willingly submitted themselves to or ingested, even in some cases. And then, and only then, will they be on track to a full recovery. That's wild. All right. Well, that's that on that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.